But let's begin with the latest political drama unfolding on Parliament Hill. Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre has lost another caucus member just as Carney's government's first budget is facing confidence votes. MP Matt Jeneroux says he is resigning from the House of Commons. Jeneroux has represented the Alberta riding of Edmonton Riverbend for a decade, and he won his fourth straight election there 6 months ago. The CBC's Janyce McGregor has more.
I cannot recall another time where an MP stepped down, but the rationale and the reasoning kept migrating for the hours following the announcement. I have in front of me kind of three different things. The original resignation letter, which came out just as MPs were voting in the House of Commons on the first of several confidence votes to do with the budget. There are a couple of opposition amendments last night, today. And then the official kind of final vote on the budget is to come after the parliamentary break week. Curious timing to sort of drop your resignation letter just right then. The original letter does not mention Pierre Poilievre. It talks about going to the opposition whip to inform him that he would resign. And it makes a specific mention, a specific request not to approach his family to talk to them at this time. So far, so standard maybe in terms of what is often a reason for a resignation, the idea of wanting to spend more time with family. Then, though, later in the evening, we had another statement sent around by the opposition leader's office directly to reporters to make sure that no one missed it. Pierre Poilievre, after the first letter came out, jumped on his social media to say that actually this resignation was not going to take effect until the spring, that it wasn't going to be right away, as some might have first assumed, and also that Matt Jeneroux remains a conservative, to clarify that sort of he is still in the party fold. This second statement that they sent around specifically says that Jeneroux had a great conversation with Poilievre and wishes him the best. Why does that matter? Well, of course, the Conservative leader is in the middle of a leadership review, culminating in a party membership vote later on this winter. So now they are making clear that this isn't about a difference with Poilievre himself. But the second statement also, curiously, begins with a line that says, "I want to be clear that there was no coercion involved in my decision to resign," because there were reports last night, and indeed had been reports all week, that there was a lot of pressure on him not to abandon the caucus, not to perhaps join the Liberals. I can tell you as of this morning, CBC News is now reporting, based on a senior Liberal source, that the Prime Minister did meet with this Conservative MP earlier this week. Other media had been reporting that yesterday too. There was said to be a lot of pressure on Jeneroux in light of the fact that sort of the reports of this meeting were out there, not to cross the floor, and some suggestion that the resignation came instead. The final thing that was circulated to Conservative MPs was a set of talking points, what they should say about this. And this portrays this departure as something he was always intending to do, to spend more time with his family in BC. It discloses that his family lives in Victoria, where they recently purchased a home. And it says the recent attention over a fake floor crossing rumor expedited his decision to announce future plans. Now, if it was a long-standing intention to leave politics, move to Victoria, stop representing his current riding, why then 6 months ago did he reoffer in an Edmonton seat? That not explained, one of many things still to be figured out as today goes on. Only about half of the Conservative caucus turned up to vote in person for last night's budget vote. And as you can expect, after this news broke, the cameras were waiting for them as they came out. Take a listen.
Wish him all the best, him and his family. He's a good man.
Matt is a great guy, and we're sorry to see him resign early.
All I know is that it's a family situation. That's all I know.
Well, he's a valued colleague, friend, and it's a loss for our caucus.
He's been a good MP, a good solid MP, great teammate. He supports this party. He supports our caucus. We all wish him well.
He was a great MP and an even better human being, and I wish him all the best as he transitions into private life.
So that's what Conservative MPs were saying, but as you might expect, Liberals coming out of the House last night also had a lot to say. Let's hear some of that.
It's just another example of Pierre Poilievre losing the progressives in his party. Pierre is systematically seeing every progressive MP within his political party abandon it.
I don't know a lot about the circumstances of Mr. Jeneroux. I've known him for a while. He's a very nice guy.
It's not easy. So I'm sure Matt had a lot of thoughts and probably a lot of back and forth with his colleagues and friends, and I wish him well.
I think he was dealing with some criticism within his own party, and that was difficult for him.
Let's talk for a minute about the actual seat that could soon be vacant. Matt Jeneroux won this Edmonton seat, Edmonton Riverbend, by a relatively small margin, at least relative to the larger margins Conservatives normally rack up in the province of Alberta. So it gets you thinking, if there is just maybe a little bit more momentum, a bit more wind in the sails for the Prime Minister's team, we could be looking at a situation in a by-election in the coming months where Mark Carney could be poised to be competitive in a riding back in his childhood hometown of Edmonton.
Okay, a lot of strategy there, a lot of calculations as well, and a lot to consider as we continue to, of course, go ahead with the budget, talking about that, because there's another budget amendment vote today, and then the budget itself will be voted on later on this month. So then does Jeneroux's resignation affect in any way those?
You know, because we're in a world where the head count is so important, right? And I can't even tell you, sitting here this morning, whether it's clear that Jeneroux would vote today or not. And we are in a game where every vote is going to count, as we've been talking about all week, with the Liberals just needing a couple more to have a majority. I will note that he was one of 4 Conservatives for whom there was no recorded vote either way yesterday. Normally, budget votes are very carefully whipped, arguably the most important votes you would have in the fall sitting. So we're really not sure when they vote again on the block amendment this afternoon what to expect on that. If more drama is afoot, though, the other curious thing about today is that neither leader is in town to be riding herd over it. Both Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre have dueling noon-hour speeches at different clubs in downtown Toronto over the noon hour to talk about the budget, their respective pitch for it and criticism of it. So that'll be going on just ahead of sort of this next highly unpredictable vote.
The CBC's Janyce McGregor in Ottawa.
Jeneroux has represented the Alberta riding of Edmonton Riverbend for over a decade. He won his 4th straight election there just 6 months ago. His resignation comes after rumors had swirled all week that he was considering crossing the floor to the Liberals. Jeneroux says that his decision to call it quits came from a desire to spend time with family. For more on this decision, Lori Turnbull joins me now. She's a professor of political science at Dalhousie University. We've reached her this morning in Ottawa. So Lori, good morning, and thank you for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's certainly start here with the resignation of Matt Jeneroux. Just how significant is this for both the Conservatives, but then also for the Liberals as well?
I mean, for the Conservatives, it answers the question of whether Chris d'Entremont was the only person who was going to be leaving caucus, and obviously he's not. Clearly, with Mr. Jeneroux, the circumstances are a bit different. He's not going to cross the floor. He's going to leave altogether, which I think there's a lot to unpack in terms of what's going on. I mean, those of us who are watching this story closely, we've seen the traffic on social media overnight. There are suggestions. There are reports that Mr. Jeneroux was under some pressure from people in the Conservative Party not to cross the floor. There's reports that he had conversations with the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister's officials, and that perhaps the floor crossing was imminent, and then there was pressure on him not to do so. The letter he put out was extremely unusual. In all of my years of being a political addict, I have never seen an MP leave and say, "Please do not contact my family." So this is very, very unusual. It is not a good moment for Pierre Poilievre at all, and especially leading up to a leadership review in the not too distant future.
And we're going to talk more about that in just a moment here. What do you think this could potentially then mean for the Liberals, if anything, since it would seem that Jeneroux is leaving politics?
Right. So, I mean, in the immediate future, in the next few days, few weeks, if Mr. Jeneroux doesn't show up to vote, it's one less Conservative vote. It means that they've got, they're that much closer to being able to get the budget to pass. They'll need one fewer abstention from the NDP, for example. Overall, it doesn't change the math considerably because they're still in a minority government situation. However, there's some discrepancy or confusion or lack of clarity about when Mr. Jeneroux will actually resign. If he resigns soon, that gives the Prime Minister an opportunity to call an immediate by-election in that Edmonton riding and run somebody in the riding who would be really competitive, who is close to him, who would be a business Liberal maybe. So there's an opportunity there for the Liberals to pick up a seat.
And if he doesn't right away, if he does stay on till the spring, because there has been some suggestion that might be the case, how will that change the dynamic of things? What do you make of the potential timing there?
Right. And so it was, as far as I know, it was Pierre Poilievre. I saw the X message coming from him saying that the resignation would be in the spring, which suggests to me that Mr. Poilievre wants Mr. Jeneroux to hold the seat, whether he shows up or not, so that there's no by-election, right? And there's no opportunity for the Liberals to flip that math in their favor. If Mr. Jeneroux doesn't show up but doesn't resign, this is just going to keep going. This story people will keep digging. There's going to be continued reporting about what's going on and why isn't he resigning and why isn't he showing up. And so I don't think that's a sustainable situation, especially given the circumstances, given all the drama. I can't imagine how he's going to not resign until the spring. If it just doesn't make sense to me.
As you were saying there, Lori, there have certainly been reports, suggestions that there is this possibility that we could even see more of this in the days ahead. What are you anticipating there? How likely do you think it is that we could potentially see another Conservative MP leave caucus or cross the floor?
In the past few weeks, even before Mr. d'Entremont decided to announce that he was going to be crossing the floor, there were lots of rumors about whether there might be some disgruntlement in the Conservative caucus. The Liberals are reaching out to see who they might be able to get to cross the floor, essentially to try to come up with a majority without going to election because they're close. And a vacancy in Edmonton would make them, even closer. So I think those rumors will persist. I think that the rumors that are out there about potential pressure on Mr. Jeneroux are only going to feed more questions about how secure Mr. Poilievre's leadership actually is. And so I think there's kind of a sense that there's, the lid has blown off this. There's all kinds of metaphors do apply, right? You can't put this toothpaste back in the tube. This is going to keep going. Whether anybody else crosses the floor or not, who knows? But I think that the questions about Mr. Poilievre's hold on the party and on the caucus in particular are going to continue.
So let's talk about that a little bit. What do you think this means potentially for Pierre Poilievre?
Well, this is budget week and it's a minority government, and this is a budget that I think, a lot of people, a lot of stakeholders have had some complaints about, for example, like not enough money there for housing. What about social programs? What if this doesn't work and it doesn't actually attract all the investment? There are all kinds of questions. And the government has gotten some of them, but really the focus this week has been on the Conservatives and on Pierre Poilievre's leadership. And I think the fact that Mr. d'Entremont, within 24 hours of having crossed the floor, gave the sense that, very clearly said he left because he didn't like the negativity. He left because he didn't like Mr. Poilievre's style of leadership. And so when you hear something like that, it's like all of the questions that had been swirling out there anyway about, did Mr. Poilievre learn anything about what the cost is of his negative style of rhetoric? Did he learn anything from the last campaign? Is he going to switch gears? I think Mr. d'Entremont's actions would suggest that he didn't think Mr. Poilievre switched gears at all. And so I think now there are going to be mounting questions about whether he's the right person to lead the party. Can he keep moderates in the party? There's all kinds of back and forth on social media about the concept of a red Tory and whether that's really a thing. And, is Chris d'Entremont just leaving for his own purpose, or is he really, does he really mean my values don't fit in this Conservative party? And if that's the case, that throws into question the whole project that Mr. Poilievre is trying to lift off the ground here. If he can't keep, and yes, red Tories are a thing, if he can't keep them in his party, then it really begs questions about whether he can ever form a government.
And just finally here, Lori, in recent weeks, there's been a lot of speculation, there's been analysis, questions about whether we could be headed for a snap election at some point in the near future. If the budget passes, of course, then not this time around. Do you think this makes it more or less likely that we could see an election sooner rather than later?
I feel like, as soon as Mr. D'Entremont crossed the floor, it seemed like that whole speculation seems to go out the window because they're one vote closer. Now with Mr. Jeneroux, perhaps the Conservatives are one vote down. I think it just seems like that moment has passed. And especially the NDP have indicated the abstention is on the table for them. So I think the budget will pass. And so I think probably that snap election curiosity is probably over for now.
Lori, as always, it's so great to have you on. Thank you so much for this. We appreciate your thoughts and your analysis this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Great to see you.